Hello again, everybody, and welcome once again to Fractured Realities. Now, I just want to start off by saying throughout our lives, many of us are becoming awakened to the realities around us or the cycles of control that we've been conditioned with our entire lives. Growing up through education, we were conditioned to see the world from one point of view. We were conditioned in churches to only recognize one religion. When we learn history from one point of view. That's usually the point of view of the conquerors or the winners of battles or political fighting or whatever. We only grew up hearing one sort. Now that we live in the age of communication, people are finding different sources and they're finding that the things that they've learned and the things that they've known throughout their life are in fact false or misrepresented. That there's a whole lot more history to be learned, that there's a whole lot more to know about spirituality, a lot more to know about the religions that we clinged on to, their true histories. So we live in an age of communication where everything is available. About 15 or 16 years ago, I aligned myself with a few of the people in the Masonic order, and actually through that, so that I could get access to certain books, the Kabbalah, the Keys of Solomon, works that I was interested in that you can only get at that were only available through Masonic libraries. I'm not talking about the little bullshit paperback editions that you could buy at your local witchcraft store. And I'm talking about the actual texts. The availability for those type of things was very limited, which drew me to the Masonic order so that I could learn. It was an expansion of knowledge. But now it's available on Amazon. You get the true text. You can get some of Crowley's ancient writings, Albert Pike. You can find whatever you want. Not saying that those are good people, or I'm not casting judgment one way or the other. I'm saying that the availability of what used to be secret texts it's wide open now. You can get any of it if you search deep enough and search long enough. You don't have to join a secret order. You don't have to become part of a certain church or religion or cultic organization in order to find these things. They're all available at fingertips. You can download them on your phone. But anyway, so in this new age of technology and knowledge, people are breaking free of the things that they've learned. Their minds are expanding. They're learning new things. And also, the architects of control that have controlled the world for thousands of years are losing that grasp on control. For hundreds and thousands of years, possibly, the same families with the same bloodlines have controlled the different governments. The thing, I mean, a prime example, Queen Elizabeth is what was actually related to the Tsar of Russia. She was also related to the Kaiser, Wilhelm. Her actual last name was Wilhelm. She changed it to she changed it in order to become more acceptable and seem more British, even though she was actually Germanic, or I should say Prussian, by by genealogy more so than she was Anglo or Celtic. But you know, People can research those things on their own. I don't have to tell you. So the same ruling family has ruled the earth. Now, I've said many times that I don't believe that there is personally a group called the Illuminati that has a satanic presence on earth. I don't find any true evidence of that. Though it doesn't relate with me. The same thing with the whole world leaders are all reptilians. They may have some interesting bloodlines, but I'm starting to doubt the whole David Icke reptilian theory. I just haven't seen any kind of solid proof of it. But anyway, with that being said, we come across this age. So for many, many years, people were able to control other people with religion. They were able to control people with selective history. They were able to control people with the media. Okay. But now that's all starting up. People don't trust the media. The evils of the churches have been exposed. People don't trust their history books anymore because they know that it's a very abridged, outdated version of what one person thought history was and not necessarily the absolute truth. So their controls around people are no longer believing in the institutions of government. Yes, there are many hardcore Democrats, many hardcore Republicans, but there's also many, many independents like myself that kind of share some thoughts from both parties and are a free thinker. Okay. So free thought has increased. I mean, yes, the truth movement is infiltrated by a lot of crazies and a lot of people who, basically use it in order to make themselves look better and make themselves look like enlightened beings or alien gods or whatever, which annoys me to no end. Like I said, I'm just a normal guy. Um, I'm just like all of you. I have some expansive knowledge of religion and occultism, history, a few different things in my brain, but that doesn't make me an ascended master. That doesn't make me a high priest. That doesn't make me any of these titles that people give themselves, which really, in my opinion, make the truth movement seem irrelevant. It brings a tinfoil hat, just like some of the other things that people get into, the mud flood, the flat earths, the Tartaria thing. I mean, if you want to believe in that, that's fine. I'm not telling anybody what to believe in or what not to believe in, but it does take away from what I believe are more valid points in the truther movement. But with that being said, all these things have failed, and people are awakening. Some people at different stages, some people in different ways, and even the aforementioned people that I talked about are waking, and they contribute in their own way to the movement. People are disassociating with the establishments of their countries, not just in America. This is happening in China. This is happening in the Middle East. The big movements in Iran, China. This is happening everywhere. This isn't just an American thing, and this isn't just a European thing. This is a worldwide thing. People's consciousness are expanding. So the powers that be continue to fight and try to keep us separated. Now, one thing that I've noticed in the past probably year, this has been going on for a few years, but and up in the last few months, it seems to have exploded. There's attacks on churches. on religious establishments. Now I was going to try to make a chronological list of these things, and it was just mind-boggling how many church fires there have been, shootings in churches, religious massacres that have occurred just in this year alone, and in the late part of 2018. To where, I mean, I would need to make a 5-part video with each part being 2 hours, and nobody wants to listen to me babble that long. I don't want to talk that long. I don't want to, I don't want to sit there and read off a paper or read off a teleprompter. So I did make a list, and I just kind of condensed it to some of the more relevant ones that have happened lately. Now, in France, there have been several Christian churches that have been attacked, mostly Catholic. We got St. Vincent de Nantre, and please, for my Latin speaking audience, I apologize for my mispronunciations. Lavore, the Evangelical Church of Light and Hope, Mount Pleasant Baptist, St. Mary's Baptist, Union Baptist. These were several of the churches that were either vandalized or attacked. Now, on March 21st, in Birmingham, England, there were 12 different mosques that were attacked with sledgehammers and defaced. Everybody heard about Pittsburgh last year, which was a true tragedy for the person who walked in and opened fire on several parishioners in a synagogue in Pittsburgh. Then we have Notre Dame that catches fire and burns. Now, the official story still to this date is that somebody was smoking a cigarette. I don't think a cigarette smoldering could cause a fire of that size and of that nature, especially not in a building with that much stone. It doesn't make sense. There was definitely an arson involved in that, one way or the other. And even earlier in this year, in January in New Orleans, there were, in Louisiana, I should say, there were several churches there that I mentioned a couple of them accidentally, but the Union Baptist Church, St. Mary's Baptist Church, Mount Pleasant Baptist Church, black churches that were burned down. There was also a white church that was caught on fire, but the fire was put out. You had on March 19th, you had 120 Christians that were killed in coordinated attacks in Nigeria. Also, the same day that Notre Dame burned, there was a fire at the Al-Qusa Mosque. I don't see these all being coincidental, all these church fires. I see this as a coordinated effort. I mean, how do 12 churches in France get vandalized and then Notre Dame burns down and it's all just coincidental? How is there an organized attack where 120 people are killed? Then you had Sri Lanka, where there were 3 attacks on Easter morning at St. Anthony's, St. Sebastian's, and the Zion Church in different parts of Sri Lanka. These are organized attacks. These are well thought out, well planned terrorist events or attacks that are coordinated. Now, do I believe that it was just some sort of random white supremacist group or random Muslims who are doing it? No, these are coordinated. These are funded. Somebody is spending big bucks to basically, essentially, try to start a holy war to divide us. Because even though perhaps we're not as religious as we used to be, the vast majority of the planet, probably I would say 70% of the planet, still subscribes to one of the three major religions, the Abrahamic faiths, either Islam, Christian, or Jewish, and all three of them have been attacked violently this year, multiple casualties. And now, like I said before, I don't believe in the whole Illuminati, Satanist, reptilian, fucking overlord thing. I don't see any proof to it. I don't believe in it. But with that being said, the New World Order, which is a group of world bankers who meet together, they're also called the Bilderberg Group, World Monetary Fund. They have many names, but it's all basically essentially the same group of people. Captains of industry, bankers, world leaders, people from this ancient bloodline that goes back to Sumeria. Like I said, David Icke was right about that, but the whole reptilian thing, I'm still up in the air about. But these are the people that run the world. Don't ever get that wrong. There's only 3 countries in the world that are not ran by the International Monetary Fund. And those are North Korea, Iran, and Syria. You know, the axis of evil. But people are awakening. People know who Jacob Rothschild is. People know who the Carnegies are. People know who George Soros is now. These people are no longer hidden. People understand who they are. So they're pumping millions and millions of dollars into these groups through false companies, flag companies, whatever. They're creating these events. They control the media from both sides, both the right wing, left wing. They control the churches. They control the religious institutions. And yes, Islam included. Definitely the Jewish religion, Judaism, and definitely Christianity. They are all 100% controlled by the same group of people. Well, that's what people don't understand is Christianity and Islam are all just offshoots. They are offshoot religions, reformist religions from Judaism, which is a religion that goes way back. Now, the Judaoists or the Jews don't use they are very inclusive. In order to be a Jew, a real Jew, you have to have certain bloodlines. You have to prove that at least part of your blood goes back, and they literally keep their records all the way back to the time of David. At least those who are influential and connected with the churches. They don't openly try to recruit other people, and that's where Christianity and Islam do try to recruit other people. But you know, what better way to get us up in arms and fighting each other than to think that we are under attack spiritually, to believe that there's a holy war that's going on. Whether they're going to blame it on people who have fallen back to the old ways, or they're going to blame it on white supremacists, Christian radicals, Islamic radicals, which I'm sure all these people are who they say they are. I'm not saying any of these things were false flags, but what I'm saying is there was somebody who funded them. You know, somebody doesn't just decide one day to make a bunch of improvised explosive devices and get thousands of rounds of ammunition. It's just I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Just like the Las Vegas shooting, there's no way one person did that much damage. It is impossible. I don't believe it. I've watched the videos. You know what I mean? There's more to the story, but you'll never know. You'll never hear it because, like I said, the media is controlled by the same people, I believe, that are behind this. So, you know, a couple years ago, it was a whole, especially when Obama was in office, it was a whole racial divide. They tried to plunge us into a race war. They tried to turn black against white. Then they tried Christian against Muslim. Then they always try to trip our triggers. They try to keep the poor, uneducated, or in their opinion, the unwashed masses fighting each other. They want us to destroy each other. They want to create divide. They want to destroy stability. Like I said, I've been a proponent of organized religions, but at the same time, I don't believe that they need to be eradicated. I don't believe that anybody needs to be killed because of their religious beliefs. I leave that to the radical Christians and Muslims who have been doing it for hundreds and hundreds of years. And if you look throughout history and really study it, more people have been killed by the Catholic Church and by the Islamic religions than literally all the world wars and all the wars put together. Most of those wars were fought over some sort of religion in the first place before, the economic empowerment wars of World War One and World War Two and of Vietnam. I mean, those were more about economic control. If you really look into it, that's when the drug trade really took off in the United States. It was basically them trying to control the flow of either money, of resources, or of drugs. That's what the modern wars are about. But before that, they were all religious based. But people have always held their religions close to their heart. People who are Orthodox Jews, or people who are fundamental Christians, or people who are moderate or radical Islamic people are going to hold that religion. Um, it's part of them. To them, it's part of their soul. So if they feel that they're under attack, you're going to awaken that part of them, and instead of it just being a spiritual warfare where they sit and they pray, they're going to start physically attacking. And that's what's been happening in the Middle East. It's been happening throughout Africa. It's been happening in the United States. There have been terrorist attacks in Canada. And it all goes back to the same people, the media, the people who are controlling the information that we see. And you've also seen, many people who have been mislabeled as Nazis or anti-Semitic who try to bring this to light. Yeah, there are some people who are anti-Semitic, but there are also other people who are just looking for the preservation of themselves. Self-preservation is not an evil thing. When I say that I love white people and I want to see white people thrive and survive, that doesn't make me an evil racist. That means that I have survival instinct, just like any animal. A deer's not going to stand there still while you shoot at it. And the same thing with the white community, or with the Jewish community, or as the Muslims believe they're being attacked or persecuted, they're going to defend themselves just the same. So when history fails to do that, when the whole race baiting things fail, when the political parties stop fighting, you don't see these political rallies with two sides fighting each other. That seems to have died out. So there's got to be a new way for them to get that. So they're going to awaken this spiritual warrior within the Abrahamic religions and start a holy war. I mean, if you don't believe it, research it yourself. Look at the timelines, look at the dates that these things happen. These are coordinated events. And I believe that they are all coordinated or funded or at least influenced by these same powers that be, by the people who want to maintain control over the world. When they see these controls slipping away, when they see their names and their faces posted all over social media, they want to control. They want to keep that, because there's going to come a point when we stop with the paradigm of rich versus poor, black versus white, Christian versus Muslim. And we're going to look at the people who truly control us. More and more people are awakening every day. We may be few, but those few are dangerous. Not dangerous because we're going to be some sort of Manchurian candidate that's going to shoot up a school or a church or anything. Those are weak-minded individuals who are easily controlled. We are not. Our power lies within our knowledge. Our power lies within what we can teach others and those that we can awaken to the truth. But if the world is plunged into a holy war, all we're going to be worried about is survival. When governments break down, when civilization and all become shattered, then people are going to resort to savagery. And then that's when the United Nations can come in and march into a country and restore order, to go on peacekeeping missions. Now, the United States is too big of a country. They may believe that that could be their plan, that they could do that here, but it'll never fly. Now, some of the European nations, especially the ones who are so enamored with the whole socialist construct and their freebies and their openness, that they are literally destroying the native populations and forcing the original people out, to where you have a whole lot of uneducated masses coming from the third world into your countries and controlling them. And the people are there. If a holy war starts, there's going to be mass casualties in the United States. There's going to be mass casualties in Australia, all over the Western world, all over the Western civilization, which is something that they're trying to destroy. The same reason that the powers that be are censoring things on Facebook and Twitter. They want to maintain control by any means necessary. So, for those of you who are fundamentalists, for those of you who are fundamentalist Christians, for those of you who are Zionist Jews, for those of you who are fundamentalist Islam, for those of you who are white separatists, for those of you who are black separatists, stop being used as tools by the elite. Think for yourselves. Find your own awakening. You can fight wars with knowledge just as proficiently as you can with bullets. Keep the knowledge flowing. Keep waking yourself up. Be open for new ideas. Don't shut yourself into a religious fervor and believe that this group or that group are your enemies. Awaken your spirit and your mind will follow. Your thoughts will be clearer. You won't have this hate. You won't have this animosity that they build up. You won't be feeding the archons your energy. You'll be awakened. You'll be part of the threat. And like I said, those who are awake and those who are pointing things out without an agenda, I could get into that later on, but those who don't have an agenda and truly want to just awaken people and share knowledge, we are the dangerous ones. In their mind, we are to the powers that be, we are the terrorists, we are the bad guys, we are the Nazis, we are the Islamic extremists, we are the far right wingers or the liberal communists or whatever tags they want to give us. But like I said, this has all been a coordinated effort. They're going to try to start a holy war. They're going to try to amp up already existing animosities between the Abrahamic religions and create all out conflict. Don't fall for it. Think for yourself. Become spiritual. You don't need churches to be part of your God. If you believe in the Abrahamic religions, you believe that God is a part of everything. God is all seeing, all knowing. So why would you have to listen to a cleric or a rabbi or a priest tell you what to believe? You don't need the churches to be a spiritual person. But if you choose to go to the church, whether it's for the camaraderie, whether it's to be around people like yourself, like-minded people, that's fine too. But just be aware of that there's a trigger. People are going to try to influence you. People are going to try to start a holy war. Fundamentally, killing and all three are wrong. Whether it's somebody who's not an Islam or not Christian or not Jewish, it's still not right. It's a fundamental law of nature of man to not take another person's life based on their beliefs. Don't fall for it. Think for yourself. Awaken. The greatest war we can fight is the war of knowledge and the war with words. Put away the swords and pick up your cameras, pick up your pens, pick up your typewriters, share the knowledge. Let's all grow. We don't need to be plunged back into the dark ages because that's the plan. Thank you all very much, and I hope that my message gets through to you and you enjoy. Until next time, this is Fractured Realities, signing off. Goodbye. Love you all.